Okay, this is the second video of your quadratics packet, graphing in standard form. Hopefully remember that standard form of quadratic functions is ax squared plus bx plus c. That's what we're mainly going to focus on. We're going to talk about parabola. You learned in the last video that a parabola is the graph for a quadratic function. Looks like the gateway arch. We're going to talk about the vertex. We talked about that a little bit. Very tip of your parabola. We're going to talk about the axis of symmetry. We're going to graph quadratic functions. Okay, so a parabola is the graph of a quadratic function. The vertex, in the vertex, okay, A is positive, and the parabola will open up, and A is negative if the parabola opens down. The axis of symmetry is the line that passes through the vertex and divides the parabola into two equal parts, or you might say a reflection, not parabola, parts. Okay, just some vocab terms. All right, so just a reminder, here is standard form. Not to get confused with ax plus by equals c, although you see some similarities. If A is positive, we just said the parabola will open up. If A is negative, the parabola will open down. We learned in the last video that you could graph to find the vertex, but we have a formula that we can use to find our vertex, and this is it. You're going to want to become its best friend. And it's also the same thing that you use for the axis of symmetry, because it would make sense that if you're going to divide the parabola into two equal parts, that that line would go straight through the vertex. All right, so to graph a quadratic function, here we go. We're going to find the x-coordinate for the vertex. We're going to make a table of values, and we're going to plot the points and connect them with a smooth line. So here we go. Here's our checklist right here. 1, 2, 3. Okay? Vertex. Remember, it was the opposite of b over 2a. Let's go back and double check. The opposite of b over 2a. It has the opposite out in the front. It doesn't really matter. Either way, you're going to end up with the opposite value. Okay? So the opposite of b. b is negative 2. So I have 2 all over 2 times a, which is 1. Okay? So 2 over 2 times 1, which is 2, which equals 1. This means the x value is 1. How can I figure the y value for that? Well, if I know that x equals 1, can't I go back up here and substitute it in? Absolutely. 1 squared minus 2 times 1 minus 3. 1 squared is 1. 2 times 1 is 2 minus 3. So 1 minus 2 is negative 1 minus 3 is negative 4. So my vertex is 1, negative 4. And my axis of symmetry is 1, negative 4. It goes through 1. So 1, negative 4. 1, 1, 2, 3, right here. Here's my axis of symmetry. Okay, this is my vertex. Okay, so vertex, check. Make a table. I can substitute values in for x just like I did with my vertex. Let's use 0. I always like to use 0. X 0 squared is 0. Minus 2 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 3, negative 3. 0. 1, 2, 3, negative 3. Let's try 1. Can I try 1? Sure. It's another easy. We already have x is 1. We know it's negative 4. Let's try 2. 2 squared is 4. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. So that's 0. 4 minus 4 is 0. Minus 3 is negative 3. So 2, negative 3. You're going to notice some similarities that we're going to get to in the next lesson. But I have some here. We could go out more, but I'm just going to go ahead and draw my smooth line. Because as long as you have identified for me the vertex, right here, and the axis of symmetry, x equals 1, you've got the main points of the parabola for me. So we have a table, and we have a curve. Okay? Let's try another one here. How about this one? Okay? Checklist. Vertex. Opposite b over 2a. Okay. B is negative 4, so the opposite of that is 4. 2 times, what's a? Negative 2. Okay. So 4 over negative 4, that equals negative 1. All right. So x equals negative 1. So I substitute that back in. 2 times negative 1 squared minus 4 times negative 1 plus 2. Negative 1 squared is 1 times 2 is 2. Negative 4 times negative 1 is positive 4. Positive 2. Okay? 2 plus 4 plus 2 is 8. So I have my vertex. Negative 1, comma 8. So negative 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? My axis of symmetry is also negative 1. Okay? And I can start making my table. What do I always like to use? 0. So all of this is going to be 0 plus 2 is 2. So 0, 2. 0, 2. Okay? Well, let's try negative 2. Because I know what negative 1 is. So negative 2 times negative 2 squared minus 4 times negative 2 plus 2. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4, so that's negative 8 minus 4. Oh, no. Negative 4 times 2 is plus 8 plus 2. Those cancel. So I'm at negative 2, 2. This is going to be a narrow smooth line curve. Okay? Remember identifying our vertex, our axis of symmetry. The one thing I have not talked about, that is the minimum and the maximum. If you had to guess, with this vertex, would we call it the minimum or the maximum of the parabola? It would be the minimum because my parabola opens upward. So if my parabola opened downward, the vertex would be the maximum. Okay, those are 2 vocabulary words. Page 557 in your book will talk about that a little more, as well as, page 551. Okay, that concludes video 2.